The 2022 Brisbane Cycling Festival presented by King Street kicks off in City Hall to AusCycling in the Australian Individuals Australia's only fast racing AusCycling Track Nationals. The Australian Festival is something for every age and ability. Experience Brisbane entertainment in the Brisbane Showgrounds, including the Active Lifestyle Expo. Across the festival, enjoy world-class racing at AusCycling's Track Nationals and the Oceania Championships. The festival with something for every age and ability. Experience Brisbane on a bike. BrisbaneCyclingFestival.com.
Well, good evening from the Meares Velodrome to everyone joining us on the live feed on the AusCycling YouTube channel this evening. We're not too far away from getting underway with Session 2 program, tonight's program. First events that we will see is the Junior 15s semi-finals in the sprint, and then the Junior Men's 17 semi-finals. In the sprint, we've seen some great action here today. We also have the Junior Men's 17's Omnium to continue on with this evening. The elimination will be up as the third event of this evening's program. And of course, then we'll have the point score as the second last event. Last event on the night tonight will be the Junior Women's 17 Madison. A number of other events to choose from. We've got the team sprint for the junior women. National record being set in that earlier today, which was fantastic to see. Team of New South Wales taking out a national record, so we'll see if they can better that as the night goes on. We also have the junior women 15 and 17s individual pursuit finals. We're underway on the track now with the first of our semi-finals. This is our junior men's 15 sprint. Representing South Australia is Hunter Wood. Representing Queensland is Sam Hilditch. This is the best of three. They have to win two to go through as our riders come into the home straight. Hunter Wood keeping a good eye on Sam Hilditch. Had quite an eventful group of quarterfinals here in some of the races this afternoon. One or two riders being relegated for sort of riding. Oh, they've come together in the home straight. And the gun has sounded from the commissaire. Sam Hilditch moving up round the outside of Hunter Wood. And Hunter looked the other way and just came into contact there. So the commissaire has fired the gun and called a stop to that event. You can see just as Sam Hilditch started to move around the outside of Hunter Wood there, Hunter had a look over his shoulder. I think he just strayed a little bit up into the pathway of Sam, caught off balance by a bit of a knock. So good to see Hunter Wood walking away there. So he'll go and collect himself. He's had a word with the commissaires. And I think he'll be onto the track shortly. The commissaires are just deciding whether they're going to just come back to the start line or give him a breather. So of course, for those of you joining us here at the Meares Velodrome, and of course joining us on our live feed around Australia and other parts of the world, as we've seen today, the Brisbane Cycling Festival presented by King Street is back this year. 20 big days of cycling with over 100 different affiliated events and exhibitions during the festival period. The festival is Australia's biggest multicultural cycling discipline. Festival featuring athletes and attendees from across the country. It's rolling back into the town between March the 24th and April 14. We have track cycling, we have BMX, we have Oceania Championships, we have road cycling. We have so many different events going on. From the elite right through to mass participation, there's something for every cyclist of any ability. The Brisbane Cycling Festival will play host to some of Australia's most prominent cycling events over the next 20 days. You can make the most of the city's extensive network of bikeways and shared pathways across Brisbane. It's a festival that celebrates cycling in Brisbane. It's also an opportunity to see Australia's best BMX and mountain bike riders as well. It's going to be a celebration of everything cycling for spectators, families, friends coming together from around Australia. If you want to find out more, visit brisbanecyclingfestival.com.
The 2022 Brisbane Cycling Festival presented by King Street kicks off March 24th to April 14. Unity Tour is Australia's only fully closed cycling international. The Australian U17 Tour every age and ability. Experience Brisbane takeoff in the Brisbane Showgrounds.
So we're back on. Hunter Woods dusted himself off. He is going to need a new Santini skin suit though after this ride. So we're back on. Junior Men's 15 Sprint semi-final race number 1. Hunter Wood from South Australia. Sam Hilditch from Queensland. Hunter Wood not messing around this time. He didn't mess around last time, but getting out of the blocks up to pace straight away. Sam Hilditch. Both these riders rode very well in the quarterfinals to get to this stage. They didn't have walkover races. They had really well challenged throughout as they come into the home straight. The adrenaline's going to be pumping through Hunter Wood for now. Let's see if he can make the most of it. Semi-final of a national sprint championship. Win 2 of these and you're guaranteed a spot on the podium. It's up to you which step you're going to take from there. Hunter Wood leads from Sam Hilditch as they come into the home straight this time. Pace starts to build. Hunter Wood wants to get on with the job at hand. Not going to worry about getting dive bombed this time. Into the 200. Hunter Wood leads. Sam Hilditch. Queensland crowd getting excited as they go down the back straight. Hunter Wood's very strong from the front here though. Hunter Wood's got him on the hip. Can Hilditch get round the hip up the home straight? I don't think he can. Hunter Wood takes ride number 1.
Sam.
We move on to our second heat. Race number 1, this is between New South Wales rider Sydney Wang and Victoria's Oliver Jirovic. These two riders, once again, it wasn't just an easy process going through the quarterfinals for these guys. There's a number of good tussles in the quarterfinals and junior 15s. Jirovic leads from Wang here. Sydney Wang was the first one to qualify here this morning. He sat in the hot seat for a great deal of time. And so no surprise that we find him in the final, in the semi-final rather, making his way through the top 4 as they head down the back straight this time with 1.5 laps to go. Best of 3 this one. First one to win 2 will go through. Pace starts to build up. Jirovic on the front, Wang going with him and in the slipstream. Remember, these guys are on restricted gears, just the junior 15s. The front position becomes such a big bonus here, but look at Sydney Wang up round the outside. This is a strong ride from the man from New South Wales. Jirovic fighting back on the inside as Wang got the legs up the outside as they go to the line. Oh, neither rider had the chance to throw for the line. They were absolutely spinning out that gear. So we'll have to wait for the photo finish. Nothing between them as they went to the line. Wait for our scoreboard to update that result. But that's the sort of sprinting. If you're only joining us now tonight or you're just joining us on the live feed, Sydney Wang has given the result for ride number 1, 12.84. Good strong ride up round the outside, nothing between them, but that's the sort of sprinting we have seen here today from our junior 15s and the next group to come out onto the track, which will be our junior 17s. We now welcome the first of our semi-finals, our junior men's 17. Both riders are representing New South Wales. Rider number 21 on the outside, please welcome the fastest qualifier, Noah Mason, and his opponent, rider number 17, Xavier Bland. So no pace on between these two. Noah Mason narrowly failed to break the 11-second mark here this morning on junior gearing. 11.02 the time. So he is absolutely lightning quick, this young man. Xavier Bland, well, he's seen a lot more of the Meares Velodrome than most riders want to. Had a touchdown early this afternoon, and then straight after went and rode the team's pursuit, stood on the podium. So he's had a big day. Sorry, I correct myself. Rode in the ride off to be able to stand on the podium. Had a big week of racing ahead, big few days of racing ahead of these guys. Bland leads at the bottom of the track. Noah Mason up round the outside when he can. No, couldn't do it that time. That's a good ride by Xavier Bland. Noah Mason thinking twice about it. This is a strong ride from Bland from the front against the fastest qualifier. Noah Mason, however, too strong up round the outside, but it was a great ride from Xavier Bland to take him on. And Noah Mason, been impressed with the way he's ridden here today. He hasn't taken any of his opponents lightly. That's probably the hardest he's been pushed so far. So he'll think twice about that in the next one. 11.73 for those riders as they go through. So Mason is one up, needs another one to make sure he makes his way through to the final. We move on to Heat 2, Race 1, the Junior Men 17 Sprint semi-finals. With two South Australian riders onto the track this time. Rider number 64, who leads away, is Jameson Key. His opponent is his teammate, rider number 67, Tate Ryan. So once again, so these two, as far as the seedings are concerned, this is 2 and 3 after all the racing we've done here today. First semi-final between Noah Mason and Xavier Bland was 1 and 4. Just waiting for our scoreboard to update with this race on it. So the two South Australians keeping a good eye on each other as they come through. Key leads the way. They head down the back straight. Looks like Tate Ryan's quite happy to build the pace now up round the outside. Black socks for Tate Ryan, white socks for Jameson Key as they come into the home straight this time. Key holding his teammate up the top of the track, trying to dictate terms to him at the moment. The door is open to ride through, and Tate Ryan rides through the door nicely. Good piece of work there. As he heads down the back straight this time, moving nicely. Jameson Key turns off the gas. Tate Ryan's going to take ride number 1 very comfortably in the end. And that will relieve the pressure somewhat for Tate Ryan. 11.48 for our junior sprinters. It takes care of the first rides in the semi-final for these 4 young men. So we're moving on for a change of pace now. We move back to our Omnium event. You see all of our riders on the track centre just getting themselves ready. This will be the elimination for our Omnium riders. This is the Junior Men 17s. Just to go through the standings so far, Will Holmes of South Australia is leading the way on 80 points. Kai Galtman from New South Wales is on 76. Then Alex Eves of Tasmania on 70 points, equal with Alex Hughes from Queensland, also on 70 points. A little bit of a gap there for those 4 riders. Then we go back to Cadell Lovett from New South Wales and Lockie Oliver from Tasmania and Neil Van Niekerk, all on 58 points. Then back in 8th place behind those is Sam Washington from Western Australia on 50 points. Ethan Lang on 48 with Jonas Shelverton also on 48 points. Kalen Tucker on 36, then James Matthews, Binuk Kalathunga and Harry Schroff, all on 26 points. Then Jacob Steep on 24, Liam Galtman on 20. Then we have Nicholas Broxham, Max Holgate and Dylan Rogers rounds out our field of 19 riders as they all start to get themselves ready. We've seen a good scratch race won by Will Holmes. We saw a very good tempo race also won by the South Australian Will Holmes. Kai Galtman has been taking him on though, so those 2 riders very prominent to the front, only 4 points separate them, and Alex Eves and Alex Hughes. The tempo race was excellent, so now we get ready for the elimination. So if you're watching from home, you might not have seen some track racing or too much track racing before. This is definitely one of those races you want to watch. Very exciting race. So we look forward to a good contest. Head to the back straight, and they'll be coming into the home straight shortly to line up here in the home straight of the Meares Velodrome, the fastest indoor track in Australia. Hosted World Cup Brisbane, also the Brisbane 6 Days Cycling. Of course, it was the home of the 2018 Commonwealth Games. It feels like yesterday that I'm standing back in here. It was quite a few years ago now, and a lot has happened in Australia and the world since we had the Com Games here in 2018. It's so good to have everyone back. A 6-day national championships with juniors, elite, and our Paralympians. Our para-athletes also competing. All part of the Brisbane Cycling Festival. And of course we've got the Masters National Championships happening a week after the Oceania Championships. We've got the Oceania Championships, so we'll have everyone from New Zealand flying in next week. So a lot of racing here at the Meares Velodrome to look forward to over the next fortnight.
I've never seen them do this before. No. They don't even do this at the States. Oops.
So we get things underway with the Omnium Elimination race for the Junior Men's 17 division. Now for anyone who may be joining us for the first time at a track championships, and I certainly hope there are some people out there, either in the stadium here or at home, you flick through the YouTube channels and you've seen this live bike race going on. This elimination race, we can watch the front end of it if you like, but the action is at the back, because it's the rider on the tail end of the field, their back wheel. If that's the last thing across the line, that rider will get eliminated. The bell sounds. Next time round, one of these riders is going to come out. And down the back of the field, we have New South Wales, Tasmania, Victoria in a little bit of trouble at the moment. Everyone just rushing forward, trying to get round. We wait on the commissaire's decision. It's rider 80, Jonas Shelverton. Jonas Shelverton is eliminated. Rider 80. So Jonas Shelverton, the Tasmanian, the first one out that time. You would have thought he was safe where he was, but it's on the back wheel. That last couple of metres can make all the difference. We have a look back to the field this time. Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria in trouble. We'll have a wait for the commissaire.
Get up, Hans, get up.
Rider number 97 from Victoria, Max Holgate. Rider 97 from Victoria, Max Holgate is eliminated.
Get up, Hans.
Bell sounds this time. Everyone through. Bell sounds this time. We look to the back of the field. South Australia, Tasmania, Queensland getting up round the outside and out of trouble. A couple of Tasmanians in a little bit of strife. So are the South Australians here. They'll come into the home straight. We'll wait on a number. Who's it going to be? Rider 79 from Tasmania, Dylan Rogers. He knew he was out. No hassle there. He knew he was out. Dylan Rogers will put the feet up, get ready for the point score. Bell will sound this time. No bell last lap. Riders are doing the right thing. They're riding to the bell. If you don't hear that bell, don't worry. We go down the back straight. We have a look at the riders who might be starting to get out of position. Tasmania, New South Wales, Queensland racing up around the outside to make sure they're safe. New South Wales possibly in a bit of strife, and Tasmania as we close in.
Good work, Haz.
Rider 76, Nicholas Broxham from Tasmania misses out that time. He was safe as houses right up until about 2 metres to go. The bell sounds, rider out every second lap. They go through this time. Queensland on the back of the group there, moving up into the box. The New South Wales riders coming up round the outside. Who's it going to be this time? New South Wales or Harry Schoff might be in trouble. Rider 49, Harry Schoff from Queensland. Rider 49 from Queensland. Bit unlucky that time. They line out, the pace going up in this junior elimination. Once again, we have a look to the back of the field. We see the New South Wales, the light blue jerseys, having to do some work to get themselves out of trouble here. Tasmania once again in a little bit of strife. South Australia down the bottom of the track. We have a look this time. Rider number 78 from Tasmania, Lockie Oliver, is the rider to miss out. He goes without argument. He'll be disappointed because he was still pretty fresh, just got out of position. So we've got 4 from New South Wales in there, 1 from Tasmania. We've got 4 from South Australia still, 3 from Queensland, and 1 from Western Australia as they head down the back straight this time. One of the best events you can ride on the Velodrome. Great for the crowd, great to race as a cyclist. We have a look who's going to miss out this time. Rider number 23, Jacob Steep from New South Wales. He misses out that time. He was playing with fire a little bit for a number of laps there. Managed to get himself out of trouble several times. They go through this time. Once again, New South Wales has the work to do at the back of the group. Queensland up round the outside. South Australia having a good look over the shoulder. New South Wales, there's a big door underneath to get into. Is he going to run into a box or is it going to stay open? It stays open for him, but it closes for rider 46, James Matthews of Queensland. They head down the back straight again. Queensland riders to the tail of the field need to move up a little bit here. New South Wales still prominent. South Australia prominent as well as Will Holmes. The Omnium leader comes to the front of the group to set the tempo now. They head down the back straight. New South Wales a little bit trapped underneath at the back. South Australia have room to move, as do Queensland. New South Wales in a bit of strife here as they come up to the line this time. Rider 18, Liam Galtman from New South Wales. Liam Galtman misses out that time. We've still got a very hard point score to race here this evening, these junior riders, as the final event of the Omnium program. Tasmania lead the way. Then we've got a train of South Australian riders. New South Wales up around the outside. The West Australian Sam Washington making sure he's out of trouble, not getting boxed in. Then the Queenslanders and South Australia on the back looking to get round now. Queensland or South Australia? It's rider number 44, Ethan Lang from Queensland. Ethan Lang from Queensland, no arguments from Ethan. He drops out the back of the bunch. As we have a look back, South Australia still have 4 riders in this race. 1 from Tasmania, 1 from WA, 1 from Queensland, 2 from New South Wales. The bell sounded. People need to start making a move to try and get out of where they are. Good piece of riding here, midway through the field to get out of trouble.
Well done, Alex. Good job, mate.
New South Wales, 19, Kai Galtman. Rider Kai Galtman. No argument from Kai as he sits up going down the back straight. That's an important position, that one, because Kai Galtman, he is second overall in the Omnium here. One of the South Australian riders dropping off the tail end of the field here as they go through on the bell lap. So one rider seems to have made the decision that he's had enough of this one as they come into the home straight this time. The bunch is fine, because we've got one South Australian behind everyone else. Rider number 68, Callum Tucker, has missed out. He gave it away a lap out, so everyone else is in. They'll get the bell this time. It's getting a bit feisty out there on the tail end of the field. There's a few tired legs out there. Junior Men 17's Omnium Elimination. We're down to 7 riders. Queensland in trouble. Can he get around here? What can the crowd do for him here at the Meares Velodrome? They get him through. Rider number 65, Bunuk Kalathunga, is the rider who misses out that time. We're down to 6, Tasmania, New South Wales, South Australia, Queensland and Western Australia. They're the riders left in this one now. This has been a great race so far. They head to the back straight this time. Queensland need to start to move. WA getting themselves out of trouble nicely. South Australia down the bottom. It might be Will Holmes who might be in a bit of strife here. Cadell Lovett from New South Wales misses out that time. So Cadell Lovett misses out. We're down to 5. Bell sounds again. Down the back straight. There's nowhere to go for WA at the moment. He's going to have to come a long way around if he wants to get in here, unless the door opens for him. Is it going to open? It doesn't look like it will.
Well done, Alex. Keep pumping.
107 Western Australia. Sam Washington is eliminated that time. We'll come through this time. 4 riders left, 2 from South Australia, 1 from Tasmania and 1 from Queensland as they go through.
Alex!
Oh no, he's going to get boxed.
Well, cut out.
He's going to get boxed. He's stuffed. Nah, he's out.
This time, rider 50 from Queensland. Alex Hughes, coming together of riders there. They hold it up. All the spokes have gone in that front wheel from the young South Australian. Great piece of bike handling.
Thought that was the gun.
Leaving just one rider, Will Holmes, on the track by himself.
I do.
Yeah.
I follow this guy still.
Keep following him.
Yeah.
Getting cheered on.
No one's
Tasmanian then. Alex Eves getting cheered on from his supporters in the crowd as they keep going because you're about to run second. Will Holmes is going to come through. No trouble at all. The commissaires sort out the final 4, but it's going to be pretty obvious that Will Holmes is going to end up our winner. We come into the home straight now. Now a puncher for the Tasmanian. Will Holmes goes across the line. We've got no riders left. Will Holmes is the winner of the Junior Men 17 Omnium. That's 3 races in a row now for Will Holmes in this Junior Men's 17 Omnium, with just the point score to come. What a ride.
What the hell happened there?
That guy just lost all his spokes.
Did he?
Yep.
Bloody hell. Sounded like a
Amazing
machine
he
gun.
didn't come off.
Yeah. He didn't hit anyone, though,
No,
did
no, it just was all on his own.
he? Wow.
But then someone else has stopped up here too.
Yeah,
There's
I don't-
another.
It's all weird. Hey, Alex got eliminated and then
Then it all went to shit.
What the hell? Good luck sorting that out. They didn't stop the race to the very end, though, did they?
They didn't stop the race at all.
Oh, I thought I heard the gun.
No, that was and then there was someone's tyre.
Oh, right, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
It was a myriad of, it was a comedy of errors.
Yeah, well, I think this guy won. I'd say it was a Stephen Bradbury, but he was winning.
No, he was out the front too, I think.
Yeah. That was weird. Oh, geez, here we go. Sam's up
I can
against
speak over now if you want. Thanks for that. It's good to be able to watch that. Yeah.
So we move back to race number 2 now of our junior men's 15 semi-final of the sprints. And we welcome back Hunter Wood and Sam Hilditch. Hunter Wood is 1 race up. Okay. All right, mate. I'll tell them right now. Cool. Hunter Wood leads through this time. Sam Hilditch on his wheel as we go down the back straight with a lap and a half to go. Hunter Wood, 1 ride up. He wins this one. He goes through to the final and right off for the gold and silver. Up round the outside though. Sam Hilditch catches him napping through the 200. Now we've got a contest. This is the sort of racing we saw in the quarterfinals earlier this afternoon. Everyone wants to be in the final. Hilditch, the Queenslander, he's going to be too strong this time. It's going to go to 3 rides. We got caught out like that at the quick time first the other day. Somebody did a live feed, but the microphone on the camera was perfect. So everything we said for 3 hours without knowing. So the first of our sprint semi-finals is going to go to 3 rides. We bring out our next group. From Victoria, once again we have Oliver Jerovic. He's got to get one back over the top of Sydney Wang from New South Wales this time. Sydney Wang 1 ride up. If he wins this one, he's through to the final. And most importantly, whoever he rides in the final has got to ride again before they meet him. And after a long day sitting in humid conditions, these sorts of efforts can make a difference. But these guys were very close in that first ride. Oliver Jerovic really took on the race nicely. There was nothing between them in the end. So we'll see what the Victorian can do here. See if he can get one back. See if he can even up the ledger. Don't forget, if you're joining us in the grandstand here this evening, we are live on the AusCycling YouTube channel tonight. So please text your friends, family members, advertise it on Facebook. We've had a number of international guests joining us here today as well. Very rare to be able to get this sort of coverage for junior sport at this level. So let's make the most of it. Let's show just how good our juniors are here. in Australia. They go from the front again. This is very similar to the first ride. Victoria on the inside, New South Wales on the outside. This was the drag race we saw in race number 1. Sydney Wang got up round the outside the first time. Ola Jerovic getting up round the outside. They come to the line this time. Well, Jerovic crosses the line first. Sydney Wang misses out by the width of a tyre. As we've seen in all races so far, our commissaires are really going through the sprinting with a fine-tooth comb here today. They're doing a fantastic job with it as well. Can't go against any decisions the comms have made today. They've all been spot on. The scoreboard for now shows us 1 apiece for Oliver Jerovic and Sydney Wang. We move forward to the junior men's 17s. Race number 2, heat number 1. Noah Mason, New South Wales, rider number 21 on the red bike. He is 1 race up against his teammate Xavier Bland. Noah Mason, fastest qualifier today. So Oliver Bland taking the opportunity to mix it up a little bit this time, taking the front spot. On restricted gears, no real need, no real use in trying to come out the wheel from second place on restricted gears against a man who is quicker than you over 200 metres. You want to get in front of him, you want to try and dictate terms for as long as you can before that speed gets unleashed. As they roll into the home straight, Bland leads the way. Noah Mason twitching around, trying to force a reaction from Xavier Bland. Noah Mason gets himself through to the front this time. Starts to wind up. Xavier Bland gets into the slipstream, comfortably into the slipstream, but now Noah Mason sitting down, starts to accelerate, starts to ride away just that little bit from Xavier Bland. Bland's going to get to the hip. I don't think he's going to get around the hip though, because Noah Mason's just that little bit strong. Noah Mason goes through 2 rides straight through to the final. We just go back very quickly to the junior men's sprint semi-final, event 21B, between Oliver Jerovic and Sydney Wang. There is a relegation of Oliver Jerovic from Victoria. So Sydney Wang will go through to the final. 2 rides straight for Sydney Wang. He will find himself in the gold medal ride-off. Oliver will go through to the bronze medal. We move on to the next of our sprint rides. This will be Jameson Key and Tate Ryan. Tate Ryan leads 1-0 between the 2 South Australians, the junior men's 17s. Who's going to go and meet Noah Mason in the final? So Tate Ryan leads down the back straight. Jameson Key follows on behind him. He's going to be trying to work out what to do against his teammate from South Australia here. Tate Ryan leads the way through the 200 metres as they head towards the back straight this time. Jameson Key jammed right up on the wheel, now gains a bit of height, trying to get on top of the gear. Doesn't take them long to get on top of these smaller gears, these restricted gears, but you want to try and save your legs wherever you can. Tate Ryan now says, let's get on with it. Doesn't want to mess around. He knows he's one ride away from riding in the gold medal ride-off the Junior Men's 17 National Sprint Championship. The Jameson Key right up on the wheel. He can get into the slipstream, no worries at all, but I think Tate Ryan, and he is just that little bit too strong. So we're going to see Tate Ryan versus Noah Mason in the final. Jerovic and Key will meet each other for the bronze ride. My apologies. Xavier Bland will meet Jameson Key. All these riders are starting to blend in together. Nice time there from Tate Ryan again, 11.77. So we move forward to our first lot of finals of the evening. Move on to event 26A. This is the Junior Women's 17 Team Sprint Bronze Medal Final. In the back straight, please welcome, representing Queensland, Maddie Smith, Ella Liang and Amelie Sanders. In the home straight, please welcome, representing South Australia, Regan Stanton, Anna Gray and Liani Vanderberg. South Australia, the faster qualifier, which means they will start from the home straight. Of course, we saw New South Wales set a new national record. They'll be coming out onto the track after this race in the final. So the flags are up. The countdown has started. Bronze medal final, South Australia versus Queensland. Let's see what this Queensland crowd can do when they get underway. Away this time. Oh, pulled foot for South Australia out of the gate. We hear the gun now. Somebody let Queensland know. Somebody let South Australia go. Whistles are blasting here in the stadium. Queensland have heard them. Unfortunately, South Australia haven't heard it yet. South Australia pull up. South Australia pull up. Their second rider still going. They're about to find out in the back straight. Pull up, South Australia. Well, bike racing, eh? Just when you think it's going right, something can just pop up out of nowhere. So the South Australians have now had a full lap and a half workout. I don't know what the recovery is like at the junior level. I've seen this happen at senior level. And when you see some of the size of some of our senior athletes, especially in the men, well, the starters are power lifters. They need to have a good half hour or so, maybe even an hour to recover. So we'll have to wait and see what this is going to do to the South Australian team when they come back out. I'll wait to see the decision of the commissaires to see when this ride comes up again. Let's see how commissaires and starters still standing on the track here, so one gets the impression that they're going to bring them straight back to the start line. We'll wait and see. We'll keep you posted. So Queensland in the back straight, they're going back to the starting gate. For those of you watching the live feed on YouTube, you can see the South Australian team. Bike's going back into the starting gate. So South Australia, they've done a full lap and then another half lap. They're going to come back into the starting gate and go again. Queensland, they had a virtual full lap as well before they really understood that it was all being held up. So the heart rates will be up. The blood will certainly be pumping in these riders as they come back to the start. Please welcome back in the back straight, team from Queensland, Maddie Smith, Ella Liang and Emily Sanders. And in the home straight, please welcome once again South Australia, Regan Stanton, Anna Gray and Leonie Vanderberg. 30 seconds. We're away again. South Australia, cool as cucumbers this time. Queensland getting themselves away nicely again. South Australia maybe with the edge. There's nothing between them. South Australia sit down. Nothing between the two teams over that first part of the journey. Now South Australia starting to move that little bit quicker than Queensland. They were the faster qualifiers before. They go through 0.43 of a second up. The South Australians over the top of Queensland. Queensland are coming back though, definitely lifting over this second lap. Possibly that start has affected the South Australians. They go across now, Queensland into the lead, 0.31, down to the final rider on both sides. Queensland slightly in front as they hit the line now with half a lap to go. Queensland leading the way for the bronze medal. Can they hang on? South Australia are coming. South Australia are coming. Who's it going to be? South Australia. Just miss out, 0.08. Queensland take the bronze medal. Well, come on, Queensland crowd. That was a ride and a half. They got the lead they needed. They have hung on by the skin of their teeth, and props to them. Bronze medal going around the neck of our Queensland team here this evening. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the gold medal ride in the Junior Women's 17s Team Sprint Final. In the back straight, please welcome Victoria, represented by Amy Masters, Hayley Jack and Lucy Hall. In the home straight, please welcome New South Wales, Maya Dillon, Lilia Tataranoff and Nicole Duncan. 30 seconds. New South Wales away very nicely indeed in the home straight here. I think they might have had a change of position there from their first ride earlier in the day. Victoria out of the cannon nicely. Second rider just needs to get up onto the wheel. New South Wales broke the national record earlier today. They come into the home straight this time ahead. They're ahead by 0.80 of a second now. New South Wales, they're really motoring down the back straight. A good lead for New South Wales here. Their third rider just laying off so they can run at their teammate into the home straight. New South Wales are away with their last rider now. New South Wales are heading out to another national championship for that great state. Can it be another national record? New South Wales into the home straight now. Put your hands together for this team. They're unchallenged in this final, New South Wales, and they take out another national title. 51.952. Victoria finish in second place with the silver medal, 54.952. So ladies and gentlemen, we continue now with our junior men's 15 sprint semi-finals. And this one will be between Hunter Wood and Sam Hilditch, the South Australian versus the Queenslander. They have one ride apiece. This is going to the best of three. Remember, Hunter Wood has got a medallion on his hip already from touching down a little bit earlier tonight. He's got to try and take care of Sam Hilditch in this one to make his way through to the final. One of these guys is going to win, and one of them is going to meet Sydney Wang in the final. Big push off there from the South Aussie coach. Wants Hunter Wood in first place. Well, it was a big push off. Pat yourself on the back. Hunter Wood leads down the back straight. Sam Hilditch up on his wheel, not giving him any room whatsoever. Seen a bit of this in the junior 17s. This tactic of really being jammed up on the wheel. It's worked for a number of people. It's worked especially if the lead rider's been up against the fence and not looking to see where their opponent is. Hunter Wood's not interested in going to the fence at the moment. He's quite happy to be where he is. However, Hilditch has the advantage of getting the run off the little bit of banking there as he stays on the Blue Stars line. This is going to be a long sprint by the looks of things. Indeed it is. A drag race now between these two. Hunter Wood gets underway. Sam Hilditch up on his wheel. Restricted gears make a difference as they head down the back straight, and it's going to be a drag race down the back straight. Can Hilditch get up round the hip of Hunter Wood? He can't yet. Can he get the run down the home straight? He cannot. Hunter Wood will go through to the final. Ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the Junior Women's 15 Individual Pursuit Bronze Medal Final. This is a all-Queensland affair. Please welcome Isabella Potts and Sienna Monteith out onto the Velodrome. Away now in this all-Queensland ride-off for the bronze medal. Isabella Potts in the home straight, Sienna Monteith in the back straight. Just to add to the enthusiasm in the crowd, we'll just go back an event. The final of the team sprint in New South Wales, the victors with the gold medal, and another new national record of 51.952 for New South Wales. You get by with a few little help from your friends at this velodrome, no doubt about it. Queensland, let's make some noise. This is an all-Queensland final, come on. There should never be a lull. Where's all our Queensland supporters here tonight? Sienna Monteith heading towards the back straight. Isabella Potts leading the way as she comes through this time. Four and a half laps to go for these two riders. A big occasion on the home track, riding for a medal at the National Championships and being televised all around Australia as well. And if anyone picks up on it anywhere in the world here this evening from YouTube, Big thank you to our crew for taking the time to make sure the vision gets out there. Into the home straight this time, Isabella Potts. She'll be able to see the tail end of her teammate. She'll be feeling very comfortable with herself. It doesn't take the pain away, but she'll be feeling comfortable. Isabella Potts gets 2 laps to go now as she goes through. 2:03 on the scoreboard. CNM on teeth. She's fighting on very well. Potts into the back straight. A lap and a half to go for her. She's going to get to stand on the podium tonight at this stage. She'll have a teammate in sight as she comes into the home straight this time. Acting as a carrot to chase here. The head starting to bob up and down a little bit here from Isabella Potts, really making the effort here. This is a good piece of riding. Going to reward herself with a bronze medal. Get behind Sienna Monteith as she goes through with half a lap to go. Top 4 in the national title. Isabella Potts goes across. Bronze medal in 2:44.626. Sienna Monteith will cross over 2:51.175. Queensland will be on the podium again. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome onto the track a Junior Women 15 Individual Pursuit Gold Medal Final. Please welcome in the back straight, representing Western Australia, Jasmine McGough. In the home straight, please welcome, representing Queensland, Megan Moore. Away now in the Junior Women's 15 Pursuit Final. Megan Moore, the Queenslander, the fastest qualifier. Jasmine McGough from Western Australia getting out to a fast start here. Jazzy McGough going to take on the Queenslander on a home track. See what she can do. Can she unsettle her? Well, 2,000 metres of the track. Megan Moore was very settled earlier this afternoon when she set the fastest time. So Jazzy McGough's really gone out like a shotgun over that first lap. Let's see what it does to the lactic acid in the leads. She's got a nice little lead at the moment. Seconds lead. It was 2 seconds a lap ago. Now it's a second. So Megan Moore riding into her pace nicely. Jazzy McGough goes across the line. And so another half lap and we're going to see Megan Moore either level or slightly ahead here of Jasmine McGough. Megan Moore into the home straight, virtually dead level. Just in front now for the Queenslander. Megan Moore down the back straight. Now, did Jasmine McGough start too quick? Or is that the normal start? And now she's going to settle in. We'll find out over the next few laps. But Megan Moore really moving nicely. Jazzy McGough hasn't gone away. She's dropped off to a second, but she's still setting a very nice time indeed. This is for the gold medal. Down the back straight. 3.5 laps to go for Megan Moore. When they get back to their start-finish stations, they'll have 3 to go. Moore into the home straight. McGough into the back straight. Moore in control of this one nicely. Now goes out to a lead of 1.44, but McGough still doing a good ride here. Moore leads the way. Has Jasmine McGough got a sprint finish in her in the individual pursuit? Moore into the home straight. McGough into the back straight. Has she closed anything of the gap? She certainly has. It's gone from 1.44 to 1.06. So Jasmine McGough is finding something. Megan Moore is starting to suffer. It's getting closer. Have a look at the finish from the West Australian. Where's the Queensland crowd with one to go? Because Megan Moore needs you now. Megan Moore needs you more than ever. 0.55. Jasmine McGough is coming from the clouds. Megan Moore hanging on. Jasmine McGough is lifting. Megan Moore trying to go with her. She's still got the lead, Megan Moore. Who's it going to be? Megan Moore. Has she got a little bit more out of herself this time? I think she has. Megan Moore has lifted over the last lap and she's got it. She's got the gold medal. Megan Moore fought back beautifully. 243.360 for the Queenslander. She's the national champion. Jasmine McGough takes silver for Western Australia. So we're going to have a change of pace again here tonight, now that we've had the pursuits. We'll move on to the Junior Men's 15 Sprint Bronze Medal Final. So our sprinters will be out on track very shortly. This is for the bronze medal. And we welcome to the track, representing Queensland, this is Sam Hilditch. And his opponent, when he stands up, will be Oliver Jerovic from Victoria. So Jerovic has drawn front spot. He'll lead away. Both these guys had fantastic rides in the semi-finals. Very unlucky to miss out on a place in the final. So expect this one to be a very close contest because their semi-final rides were very close against their other opponents. We've seen some great sprinting here with the junior men today. Both the 15s and the 17s, so we've got a lot to look forward to. We've got a lot to look forward to this weekend in the elite sprint as well. All the big names are here this weekend in our sprint competitions, both men and women. Into the home straight this time. Victoria versus Queensland. Jerovic leads the way in front of Hilditch. Jerovic just wanting to pin the Queenslander to the top of the track for now, leaving plenty of room for him to come through. He's making it very clear, if you want to come past me, you're going to come to my right-hand side. I'm going to try and make sure you don't duck out behind me. This is a good piece of riding here from the Victorian. But Hilditch showing no fear whatsoever at the top of the banking. He's quite happy to play the game. Good riding by Sam Hilditch. You can see him backing out just that little bit. Jerovic got the work to do now as they go into 200 metres to go. Hilditch leads the way. Going to have to get on with it though because Jerovic is coming at him on the bend. Jerovic up round the outside, shoulder to shoulder into the straight. Who's it going to be? Sam Hilditch or Oliver Jerovic? Jerovic strong round the outside. He takes race number 1. So ladies and gentlemen, here we go. The first of our gold medal rides in the sprint competition here. 6 days of competition ahead of us. We're going to see a number of different gold medal ride-offs in the sprint over our different age groups. This is the Junior Men 15 sprint race. Race 1. Please welcome Sydney Wang from New South Wales, and Hunter Wood leads off from South Australia. Hunter Woods had to do it the hard way. You'll see the right-hand side of his skin suit as he rolls down the back straight. Those in the grandstand will see. Got the red medallion on the hip already here today from touching down earlier. It hasn't affected his speed. It certainly has shown his resilience as he leads into the home straight this time. Hunter Wood from South Australia leads the way in front of Sydney Wang. Keeping a good pace, making sure he doesn't get out jump, but he's going to make it a long one here, Hunter Wood. This for the gold medal in the Australian Championship, and Hunter Wood is not going to die wondering here this evening as he lines up with 200 to go. Into the back straight now. Sydney Wang, look at the leg speed from these two riders. He's trying to get over the hip, he can't. Hunter Wood's just too quick from the too strong rather, from the front for the first ride. Hunter Wood takes out race number 1. Backed himself from a very long way out, did Hunter Wood. He'll be happy with that ride, and so he should be. So we move on now to our Junior Men 17 division. This is the bronze medal final. We'll welcome the first rider onto the track, rider 17 from New South Wales is Xavier Bland. His opponent from South Australia, rider number 64, is Jameson Key. Good sportsmanship being shown there by the riders, shaking hands before they go into battle. Xavier Bland quite happy to lead straight away. The onus was on Jameson Key. They draw for positions. Key drew number 1. Bland goes into number 2, but Bland quite happy to take the front spot off him, and Jameson Key not worried about having that spot taken off him either. So Bland and Key, we've seen in the 15s, there's not a lot of leeway with the gear ratios for our junior events. We've seen some very long sprinting here as well, going from a long way out from a lap to go with 1 or 2 rides. So there's been some great contests. Bland just letting Jameson Key know around the outside, not the inside. He backs into him, but Jameson Key equal to the task. And just as Xavier Bland started to slow it down, he accelerated down the steep embankment into the home straight this time. Jameson Key looks under the saddle and just doesn't see Xavier Bland because he was already up alongside him. Now he gets underway down the back straight. Bland's going to have to do a strong ride from here. He's doing a strong ride at the moment. He has to go twice as far as the South Australian into the home straight. Is the run off the bank going to do it? No, it's not. Jameson Key is going to take the first ride of the bronze medal final. We move on to the gold medal final, the Junior Men's 17 Sprint Championship. Please welcome our fastest qualifier, rider number 21 from New South Wales. This is Noah Mason. His opponent in the final from South Australia is Tate Ryan. Noah Mason leads away. He's drawn front spot. For those joining us for the first time at the bike racing or watching on our YouTube feed, when I say they've drawn for a spot, it's not literal. They get 2 cards to turn over. One will say number 1 and the other one will say number 2. And if you turn over number 1, you lead the first time, and then that gets reversed in the next ride. I'll try and keep it as evenly matched as possible in this cat and mouse game as they head down the back straight. The pace goes up. Tate Ryan really tried to get the jump there, but Mason was just equal to the task as they go through. He's going to have to make it a long one. Tate Ryan's put the challenge out here as they go down the back straight. Noah Mason leads the way. Ryan able to get in the slipstream. I don't know if he'll be able to come out of it. No one else has been able to today, and Noah Mason takes ride number 1. So a change of pace straight away again as we move on to the Junior Women's 17 Individual Pursuit. The next race that will come onto the track will be the bronze medal final. So many different events run today. The Omnium for the 17 boys. We've got the Junior Women's 17s Madison tonight to finish off the program. That'll come after the points race of the Omnium. We also have the junior men's points race this evening. Sprinting, pursuiting, points races, eliminations, tempo races, scratch races. A huge amount to be able to watch here today. So if you'd never seen cycling, it's a great day to come and see it. You'll pretty much take care of all the disciplines in one day. Well, the different types of events anyway. We wait for our riders to come out on the track now. In the back straight, we welcome the Victorian Lilith Jones. Into the home straight, please welcome the Queenslander, Eliza Carnes. Off we go, Eliza Carnes in the home straight. Lilith Jones, the Victorian, coming into the home straight this time. Not too much between them in the start. Different riding positions from both riders. Compact style of Eliza Carnes. Moving very nicely as she goes out of the home straight this time. The taller, more roady looking position of Lilith Jones from Victoria. Here comes Carnes. She's got herself out to a nice lead early in this first couple of laps. If they ride to form, the bronze medal is hers. But as we've seen this evening, anything can happen. All these riders have made the top four. They are not messing about here at the Meares Velodrome, these junior riders. Eliza Carnes leads the way. Out to just under a 3-second lead. This is a good ride here from Eliza Carnes. 4.5 laps to go for her. Her pace is just different to that of Lilith Jones here. So Carnes goes through now. There's quite a difference between 3 and 4. Carnes was right on the money until about 2 laps to go in her qualifying ride for a gold and silver ride-off. At the gold and silver ride-off, we saw 2 national records broken one after the other to get into the final here tonight. So there's no shame in 4th. There's certainly no shame with the bronze medal this evening for these riders, because the final is going to be a ripper. Get behind Lilith Jones, the Victorian, coming into the home straight this time. She's got 2.5 laps to go. Eliza Carnes sees 2 laps to go this time. Riding herself towards a bronze medal now. The bell's going to sound this time. Eliza Carnes is going to try and do her best to catch her opponent here. It's one thing you don't want to have happen to you as the opponent, but it's one thing you always want to try to achieve as the winner in an individual pursuit. Eliza Carnes, she's not going to get there, but she is going to get the bronze medal, and another one for Queensland. Eliza Carnes comes through, stops the clock at 2:32.319. Lilith Jones heads towards the back straight. She will stop the clock, the Victorian, at 2:41.459. Well, we get ready for a big final here of the Junior Women's 17 individual pursuit, the gold medal ride. In the back straight, please welcome from New South Wales, Nicole Duncan. And in the home straight, please welcome from the ACT, Lauren Bates. For those of you who weren't able to join us on the live feed earlier today or in the Velodrome, we saw Nicole Duncan absolutely fly and break the national record here this afternoon. She started fast and she just didn't slow down. It was one of those rides we thought any second now this kid's going to blow up, but she didn't blow up and she broke the national record. We thought that was it until we saw the final ride of the day and Lauren Bates came out onto the track from the ACT. And she bettered that national record. So this is going to be a good tussle between these two. New South Wales versus the ACT. And once again, we see Nicole Duncan has gone out to a very fast start, just like she did earlier today. Lauren Bates was clearly stronger in her ride over the last few laps. She really lifted. Reminded you of the old English cyclist, Colin Sturgis, the way that she came home. Nicole Duncan leads the way. 0.88 the difference here. Nothing between these two today. Lauren Bates with some work to do. We'll have a look where they are at the first 1,000 metres. They're coming back closer together. Lauren Bates goes to the lead. They're dead level at 1 kilometre. They are dead level at 1 kilometre. Bates is starting to motor. Duncan needs to lift straight away because she doesn't want to let Lauren Bates go anywhere here tonight. Lauren Bates into the home straight. She looks like she's moving a little bit freer of the two. The ACT rider now out to a decent lead, 0.64 of a second. Don't ride off Nicole Duncan though. She broke the national record, remember, here today. She's got some work to do, but she's going beautifully. She leaves the home straight. Here comes Lauren Bates from the ACT. Lauren Bates is extending that lead. She's on her way to a national title. Nicole Duncan, 1.15 down now. As they go into the back straight, a lap and a half to go. Has Duncan got a lift in her? Can she peg a little bit back on Lauren Bates? Lauren Bates is going to come into the home straight this time with the bell lap. 1 lap to go for Bates. She's extending her lead out over 2 seconds. This is going to be a national championship for Lauren Bates. What's the time going to look like? Nicole Duncan hanging on beautifully. They come into the home straight now. Lauren Bates, national champion from the ACT 2022, 229.925. She's happy with that. Nicole Duncan crosses in the silver medal position. 232.997 for Nicole Duncan. Big round of applause for our gold medal final riders. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation to the Rangers. Thank you, Riley. That concludes this presentation. In third place, and winners of the bronze medal, Queensland, Madison and Meares. In second place, and winners of the silver medal, Victoria. And in masters, and Lucy Moore. In first place, gold medalist and national champions, New South Wales.
Mackenzie.
Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation to our champions and members. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this presentation. Medals to be presented by Tony George in Queensland. In third place, winner of the bronze medal representing Queensland, Eliza. In second place, winner of the silver medal representing New South Wales, Velodrome. In first place, winner of the gold medal and national champion, Meares of the AusCycling. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for our champion and medalists. That concludes this presentation. So Sam Hilditch leads into the home straight. The Queenslander needs to get this one. Trails by one ride against the Victorian Oliver Jerovic. It's the Junior 15 Sprints bronze medal. Hilditch going to make it a long one this time. Big day of racing for these two lads as they go through with one lap to go. Hilditch leads down the back straight. Who's got the legs this time of night? Absolutely neck and neck on the bend. Jerovic looks like he's got the strength, and he does have the strength as he comes up the home straight. The Victorian is going to take a bronze medal in the Australian sprint title. We welcome our finalists in the Junior Men 15 Sprint Gold Medal Final for race number 2. Out onto the track first, the man who leads this one race up from South Australia is Hunter Wood, going up against New South Wales, Sydney Wang. Hunter Wood leads away. Went from a very long way in ride number 1. If it had been any other sort of division, you would have said, that's too early. These kids are on restricted gear ratios, so there's only so much they can get out of them. And Hunter Wood led out very strongly indeed to take ride number 1. Is he just 2 laps away from a gold medal here and become sprint champion of Australia? What a nice title to hold at such a young age. Down the back straight this time. Hunter Wood, Sydney Wang is going to attack him down the back straight. It's the right tactic to try and employ, because Hunter Wood's quite happy to lead out from the bottom of the track. He doesn't mind a long, strong sprint, this kid. They go into 200 metres to go. Sydney Wang's got the slipstream. There's no worries about that. But can he come out of the slipstream of Hunter Wood? He can't get to his hip. Hunter Wood's too strong. Hunter Wood comes into the home straight, and Hunter Wood is going to take out the Australian title. Hunter Wood goes through from South Australia and wins the national sprint title. Sydney Wang will take the silver medal. Well, we stick with our sprinting and we move on to our Junior Men's 17 division. We'll welcome back onto the track from New South Wales, Xavier Bland. He's got some work to do in this one, and he's capable. He goes up against the South Australian, Jameson Key, who's 1 ride up in this best of 3. Xavier Bland leads away this time. We've seen quite a common tactic from the junior riders in both divisions today of really being jammed up onto that back wheel. It's not a common tactic, especially as you get to the older grades, the open gear grades. Riders tend to want to have just a little bit of space so they don't get jammed up onto that wheel. The one thing that they try to avoid is what our junior cyclists have been doing. However, having said that, it's worked very efficiently for a number of kids here this afternoon because they're really staying out of sight. The lead riders, what we've found, if they're very high up on the banking, we've seen 9 times out of 10 the lead rider getting dive bombed early by the rider in second position. No fear of being dive bombed in this one. Xavier Bland is quite happy to stay at the bottom of the track at the moment and trying to force Jameson Key into doing something different. Stay down the bottom of the track. It means the rider has to go up the bank to try and get around you in the first place. All you have to do then is accelerate slightly. As they turn their bike up, you accelerate. They have to turn their bike straight down to get back into the slipstream. And that's the tactic he's trying to employ at the moment. However, you must keep your pace on in that first position as you get inside the last lap and a half. Otherwise, that advantage goes to nothing if you're both going from a standstill. Into the home straight this time. Key trying to gain a little bit of height. Bland sees it and now gets on with the job at hand. That's a good piece of riding from Jameson Key. Taunting Xavier Bland into going early. Bland reciprocates the offer and down the back straight they go and Bland leads the way. Can he hang on from here? Key has a lot of work to do in the home straight. Xavier Bland's going to hang on and take ride number 2, and we're going to see those two riders again for a decider. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back on to the Velodrome the Junior Men's 17 Sprint Final for the gold and silver medals. Rider number 67 representing South Australia is Tate Ryan. Rider number 21 representing New South Wales. And one up in this best of 3 is Noah Mason. Very big day of sprinting for these riders. Noah Mason this morning, so fast, so much faster than everybody else. And to his credit, he has taken on every competitor here the same way. Whether they were one of the faster qualifiers or whether they were one of the slower qualifiers, he has treated them all the same way. That gets into your legs after a while. Twitching around, trying to make Tate Ryan make a mistake by going too early maybe. Down the back straight. Good pace being set by Ryan, the South Australian. Keeping a good eye on Noah Mason here as they come into the home straight. The bell will sound. South Australia versus New South Wales. Not enough pace on at the front maybe at the moment. Now Ryan gets underway. Noah Mason laying off. Down the back straight. Ryan still out of the saddle. Mason coming to him now. Up round the outside. The New South Welshman. Has he got the legs? Has he got the legs? Yes, he does. He had to work for it. But Noah Mason, with the second kick out of the saddle, gets around the outside of Tate Ryan. 11.93. Great ride by Tate Ryan. He made the number 1 seed really work for it. Put your hands together for that gold medal final. Great contest between these two riders. A change of pace now. We're back to our scratch races. Scratch races, points races, and also Madison now. We've got one more sprint to come, the decider. But the next event to come out onto the track will be the Junior Women's 15 scratch race final over 20 laps. So some great scratch races and points races to come here this evening. We've got the points race in the 17s Omnium final still to come. We've got the junior men's points race final. We've also got the 17 women Madison final here this evening, and we've still got a sprint decider to come out on track as well. So plenty of racing. I hope you're enjoying our live feed on the AusCycling YouTube channel. Just a reminder, if you know somebody might want to be watching, just send them the link, let them know where to find it. A big hello to everyone who's joining us around Australia here this evening. I've had some very nice messages from a few people enjoying the coverage. As I've said before today, very unusual to be able to see the junior championships done this way. A big thank you to the local Queensland crew for taking the time and making all the effort to be able to televise this. Pleasure to be able to call the action with the talent that we're seeing race here. See the Queensland team. Where's the Queensland crowd there? You got 5 riders in the start list here tonight. Where are you, Queensland? I can see the T-shirts in the crowd. "20 laps of the track. First rider back will be the winner. 5 Queenslanders on the front of the group. Paige Squires from South Australia up behind them. Then we have Sybil O'Rourke from Tasmania. Then we go back to all of our Victorian riders, ACT, Western Australia and New South Wales, just on the back of the group here. The gun goes, 20 laps to go. And the pace goes up straight away. The pace goes up straight away from Queensland, and a little bit of daylight opening up. One or two of the Queenslanders said, "We don't need to go that quick. We're at the front." They just settle in now. 19 laps to go. Good pace being made here. One or two riders just a little bit panicked around the outside, riding 2 abreast as they go down the back straight. Plenty of time. Settle down. Try and get your breath. Don't panic about too much. No one's going off the front in this first few laps. Watch the wheel in front of you. Give yourself a little bit of room. And make sure you're as fresh as you can be for when the attack comes. And if the attack doesn't come, try and be as fresh as you can be inside that last 8 laps, because that's when it's going to count in the scratch race. The pace goes off. You can see the pace goes off as soon as they sort of start to mass on the track, whether it be a men's race or a women's race. As soon as you see a bunch do this, it means everyone's quite happy just to breathe out, catch their breath. Jasmine McGough, Western Australia, leads down the back straight. She's going to go home with at least a silver medal here tonight from the pursuit. One of the New South Wales riders looking for a new wheel for New South Wales. Puncher there for the New South Wales rider, so wherever the New South Wales mechanics are. Queensland lead the way down the back straight this time. Pace, nice solid pace here from our 15s. The Victorian Billy Russell swings high on the track now. Drops down to the back of the bunch. Got a good crew of coaches looking after, a lot of experience in the coaching staff and manager staff from Victoria. Laurie Norris and Hilton Clark, just to name a couple, looking after the team here this week. They've had tremendous success with the Victorian juniors over the year, Laurie Norris and Hilton Clark. They head down the back straight. Queensland lead the way. Still 4 of their 5 right at the front of the proceedings here. A little bit more lined out this time. They go across the line. Queensland lead the way. Rider number 40 was Sienna Monteith. She swings back down to the tail end of the field now. As they bunch up again, they'll have 12 laps to go when they come to the home straight this time. Once again, it's Billy Russell. Riding a good position in the bike race here, Billy Russell. Impressed with what she's doing. Not afraid to do her quarter lap on the front. It's a good way to stay in position. Isabella Potts just dropping right down to the back there, the Queenslander. The white wheels and the sort of grey-green helmet. She's gone well in the pursuits here this evening, hasn't she? They roll through once again. Just bunched up a little bit. The ACT rider, number 2, Chloe Pratt, was at the top of the leaderboard in pursuit qualifying for a lot of the competition here today. Basically only took the last 4 riders to unsettle her out of a chance at semi-finals, so we know she can go. There's no worries there. They lead through this time. Alexis Phillips from New South Wales leading the way. 10 laps to go when they come into the home straight this time. No one panicked just yet. No one's really had a crack at trying to have a dig there. Good bike handling from the Tasmanian then. Sybil O'Rourke just got caught up a little bit on the back wheel of a rider going past her. Wobbled around a bit, but she held it up very nicely indeed. That's what you like to see. This is day 1 of a good few days racing here for these riders. So we want to see them nice and shiny again tomorrow. Into the home straight this time. All bunched up. It looks more like an elimination race all of a sudden. 8 laps to go, 2,000 metres. This is where it starts to matter. Isabella Potts leads. Madison Smith, her teammate, trying to follow on down the back straight. This is the first real attack we've seen. Isabella Potts has a look over the shoulder. The ACT are going to come out after her. She has a look. There's no point in going on with that one. She says, they've caught me already. So she'll save the gunpowder just a little bit longer. Emily Watt from the ACT closed down the gap. Oh, a touch of wheels. This time the Tasmanian gets a little bit unlucky. Sybil O'Rourke, touch of wheels that time down the back straight. They all swing up into the home straight again. Once again, it's the Victorian Billy Russell controlling affairs at the front. Megan Moore, the pursuiter, up round the outside of her. How are her legs going to be feeling after that great ride earlier this evening? Down the back straight, 6.5 laps to go. Who's going to be able to make position? We look in the back straight and we see the Tasmanian, Sybil O'Rourke. They're trying to get the bike ready to throw her back in here. Can she get back in? Commissaires are saying she's got a lap to get in. She's walking away from the bike, it looks like. Possibly not going to bother. They head down the back straight. The pace has gone out of the race. 4 laps to go. 1,000 metres of the track. Junior women's scratch race final. They come through this time. Pippa Denham of Victoria down the bottom of the track leads the way. Jazzy McGough up round the outside of her. Then Chloe Pratt, I think it is, from the ACT. Isabella Potts down the bottom of the track. Megan Moore up round the top of her. The names that we've called in the earlier endurance events have come to the front now. The New South Wales riders just out of position just a little bit with the pace the way it is. Billy Russell up round the outside on the silver bike looking for a way round. Denham is doing a good job at the front here as they go down the back straight. Pippa Denham from Victoria setting a nice tempo. Everyone quite happy with this tempo at the moment. McGough, the West Australian, then Potts from Queensland, then Moore from Queensland, then Billy Russell. They come down the home straight this time. Madeline Douglas trying to find a way around. They go early, and it's Jazzy McGough from Western Australia. 2.5 laps to go. She has a look over the shoulder. She might have gone a bit early, but she's strung the field out. Up onto her wheel as they come into the home straight. In second wheel, it's the Queenslander, as they go through 200 to go now. McGough, then Maddie Smith as they head down the back straight. Then I think it's Billy Russell. McGough from WA. Can the WA rider hang on? Jazzy McGough from Western Australia is going to win the national title. Well, Jasmine McGough stepped out 2.5 laps from home. I thought she might have gone early. She was too strong for everybody else. A gold medal is going back to the other side of the world later this week. Jasmine McGough from Western Australia takes out the gold medal. We'll wait for the official result to see who held on for second and third. I think Madison Smith from Queensland got herself up into second place. It was a blanket for third place, but we'll wait on the official results to come up on the screen shortly. Put your hands together for our junior women 15 field. That was a great race. We're going to see a lot more of them over the next couple of days. So ladies and gentlemen, the result on the scoreboard now. Jasmine McGough is the winner from Western Australia. Madison Smith in second from Queensland. And Chloe Pratt from the ACT getting up for the bronze medal. Just getting underneath Billy Russell. Then Megan Moore, Emily Hines, Chloe Buckley, Isabella Potts. And then the rest of the field. We move back to our sprint events now. This is the decider. Jameson Key from South Australia going up against Xavier Bland. They both have one apiece. A big hello to our former Olympic champion, Brett Aitken, who's watching the live feed. Welcome to the telecast, Brett. We'll see you later in the week. Our track endurance coach for Australia, champion, bike rider, champion bloke, saying hello on our live feed as another South Australian leads the way. Jameson Key leads through from Xavier Bland, New South Wales. Nothing between these two riders. It's been great competition between the two of them. They come into the home straight now. Jameson Key, who wants the bronze medal more? Xavier Bland is going to attack him at the 200 with a lot of pace as well. Xavier Bland, can he get past? Yes, he can. He'll dive down. Xavier Bland doesn't need to. He's so strong in this one. Xavier Bland's going to go home with a bronze medal. So we let our sprinters catch their breath, commissaires get themselves ready, because our next event is not too far away, and that is going to be the junior men's points race final over 30 laps. So we've got the points race for the junior men. Then we're going to have, also tonight, we have the final points race from our junior 17 men. And also, our final event of the night will be an absolute ripper, our Junior Women's 17 in Madison. So plenty of racing still to look forward to. There'll be this event now, 30 laps, and then we have the presentations of our finals so far through this evening before we get underway with the points race, which will be over 30 kilometres. Yeah, I just had to do a double take on that. 30 kilometres written on my schedule here for the 17s. That's a huge day of racing for junior men 17s. So we now welcome our junior men points race field into the home straight, getting themselves ready. 30 laps of the track. See a number of our riders doubling up here. Rider number 59, Hunter Wood, champion already this evening, up on to the start line. Somebody's made a good mess of his skin suit now. It wasn't as big a hole before, but now at least the medallion on the side is covered up, ready for action. Well done, mate. Good to see you out there. The junior men 15s are underway. 3 from South Australia, 3 from Victoria, 4 New South Welshmen in the light blue. Tasmania up into third wheel in the green. 1 West Aussie in there in the gold. The ACT in the bright yellow. And then the 5 Queensland juniors just at the back of the field as we roll away from the start line. Down the back straight now. A little bit different this race to everything else. The way the juniors tend to ride the points races is there's a series of 10-lap scratch races within the race. They all start racing because they sprint for 5, 3, 2 and 1. They'll keep on racing hard for each sprint. Looks like our rider from the ACT has had some mechanical problem there, so we're looking for the ACT mechanics as quick as we can. ACT rider coming off the track with a mechanical, so our ACT mechanics, be ready. Angus Withington it is, number 1 from the ACT. Problem with the bike. Unfortunately we saw those problems a little bit earlier in the day with a couple of the riders in the team's pursuit for the ACT, so not fortunate for them. New South Wales lead the way into the home straight. Then Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania making position. 26 laps to go. The riders to watch out for are sort of 6, 7, 8 wheels back at this stage. Not panicking too much, not wanting to get to the front just yet. Also not wanting to get swamped from the riders behind them. The pace goes up as they come to the home straight because Thomas Blaisley from Tasmania is setting the tempo. 1 or 2 riders from the back. New South Wales moving forward, as is Western Australia. South Australia starting to see the danger. A good move up round the outside this time from New South Wales as they come into the home straight. This time, New South Wales lead the way. Sydney Wang has just taken a medal. Swings up. Went a little bit early for that one. 23 laps to go when they come in. This time, everyone's going to start making position. Blaisley from Tasmania at the bottom of the track, just up on his outside. Now they start to move down the back straight with pace. Will Brown from South Australia dropping back. The Victorians now starting to move forward as well. They'll come up with 22 to go. They're not far away from the time to sprint here. Max Nusspan on the front of the group as they go down the back straight. The pocket rocket leads the way from Thomas Blaisley. They'll come into the home straight this time. 21 laps to go and the bell is going to sound for the first sprint here. Nusspan has got himself into good position and he's happy to go from the front. Blaisley on his wheel. Then we've got the New South Wales train behind them as they head down the back straight this time. Everyone steps up ever so slightly. Ben Coates up round the outside for New South Wales, looking for a way round, and he's going to take the 5 points the first time. Ben Coates takes the 5 points. Up onto his wheel is his teammate. Number 11 is Cooper Finkbeiner. Then we go back through the field. So we'll wait for the official result to flash up on the screen. But that's the first sprint. You can see the damage it's done. It's all spread out now. A lot of gaps starting to open up. Ben Coates, Finkbeiner, Porter White got 2 and Rab Drummond got 1. They're the men who scored the points in the first sprint there. Riders scrambling to get back on the wheel here. They all start to bunch up a little bit as they come to the front. South Australia quite happy just to settle things down a little bit. Will Brown quite happy just to back the pace off. Ben Coates is the leader of the bike race by virtue of that first sprint. 5 points to him. pointer to Neil Homey. Just confirming last sprint is double points. Excellent. I was worried for a second. Ben Coates, Cooper Finkbeiner, then Porter White, Rab Drummond, 5, 3, 2, 1. That's how the points go. The whistle will go at 11 to go. It will then go at 1 to go. No double points on the last for this race. 5, 3, 2 and 1 throughout. Queensland lead the way through. Blaisley making good position as he moves back up through the field. He made good position before the last sprint. A little bit close to the front. Maybe a lap or so out. He's had a good day of racing, Blaisley. The Tasmanian up around the outside there. Doesn't want to leave it to a sprint here, the Tasmanian. He's getting on with the job. Getting his name on the live feed. Getting his name in front of selectors. Remember, this is where the selectors start to watch bike riders. As soon as they turn up to a national championships, they might not use them for 5 or 6 years, but they'll keep note of the name. Don't worry about that. Blaisley, the Tasmanian, looks over the shoulder, sees a bit more of the track. They go through this time. Up into second wheel. New South Wales riders massing on the front of the group here. They'll come through this time with 12 laps to go. 12 laps to go now. Controlled pace on the front of the group from Ben Coates, who won the first sprint. Happy to be riding at this pace. New South Wales, they are monstering the front of this bike race, and they're doing a good job of it. The moves will start to come now as they get out of the saddle and go. Ben Coates gets himself up into second wheel. New South Wales lead through. Sydney Wang down the back straight. Ben Coates up onto his wheel. Queensland getting in the middle of the state of origin here. New South Wales, 4 riders in the front. Queensland there as well. They come to the line this time. Ben Coates will take the 5 points. Says thank you very much. Sydney Wang will get himself the second place. Then nothing between the next New South Wales and Queensland rider as they go across the line. We'll have those results very shortly, but Ben Coates doing what you have to do. He's taken the first 2 sprints. That will put him on 10. We'll just wait for the official confirmation to see where that leaves everybody else. But for my money, I think that's going to give him a 5-point lead, possibly a little bit more, maybe even a 6-point lead, which is exactly what he wants before going into this last sprint. Ben Coates, Sydney Wang, Rab Drummond, Porter White, they were the first 4 across the line. 5, 3, 2 and 1. When we go to the aggregate, don't worry about a 6-point lead. Ben Coates has got a 7-point lead going into the final sprint here. And then there is a host of cyclists on 3 points. It's anybody for a silver and bronze medal at the moment. All Ben Coates has to do is control this bike race. He's 7 laps away from being crowned national champion here. Cooper Finkbeiner, Peter White, Rab Drummond, Sydney Wang and Porter White all on 3 points. They will be looking at this final sprint very, very closely, these riders. And realistically, there's a very big chance for somebody with no points to get themselves on the podium here. 5 points on the last. The pace goes up down the back straight from Queensland again. They're going to come round this time with 5 laps to go. Queensland show the way. Tom Blaisley from Tasmania has put himself in the mix of this bike race. No problem whatsoever. The legs will be starting to get a little bit tired. He's had a big day of racing though. They head down the back straight this time. 4.5 laps to go. Victoria now bringing themselves to the front of the bike race. Trying to get amongst it here. Rider number 85 is Zach Robinson. He's had a look at the points. He might not have any himself, but he knows there's 5 on the line for the finish. New South Wales dragging themselves out of the bunch this time. Pace goes off at the front, 3 to go. 1 or 2 riders just trying to save the legs if they can. All important final sprint coming. They head down the back straight now. They wait for the dive bomb, and it's the West Australian, Patrick Shupkowski. He's looking for a medal if he can get one. They're letting him go. Shupkowski comes through with 2 laps to go. He's trying to chase the 5 points if he can. What's this going to do to the bike race? Shupkowski down the back straight. They're starting to chase. South Australia on the front. Shupkowski's got a long way to hang on. They are coming from the clouds to get to the front as they come up to get 1 lap to go. The West Australian is dying for the line. He's 250 metres away from 5 points. I think it's Sydney Wang leading the way through as they get to the 200 to go. No, it's Rab Drummond from New South Wales. Then Porter White. They come round the bend now. Who wants a medal? Rab Drummond wants the 5 points. Porter want 5 points for Porter White. He'll take 5 points. Rab Drummond will get 3. I think you've got your silver and your bronze medalists there as they go across the line. A great sprint win by the Queenslander there at the finish. It's not going to affect Ben Coates on the 10 points before. I didn't see where he finished in the last. But Ben Coates will be the national champion. For my money, I think Porter White will be up for second, and then Rab Drummond will be the rider who takes out third. But that's unofficial. Big round of applause for our riders. That was a great point score. In second place, the winner of the silver medal, Madison, Queensland. Winner of the gold medal in first place, and national champion, Jason Goff of Western Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation to the national champion and medalist. That concludes this presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us for the junior and sprint presentation. In third place, winner of the bronze medal, Holly Jordan. In second place, winner of the silver medal, representing New South Wales, Sydney Lane. In first place, winner of the gold medal and national champion representing Central Australia, Hunter Wood. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation to the national champion and medalist. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us for the U17 Sprint Championship. In third place, winner of the bronze medal, representing New South Wales, Xavier Mann. In second place, winner of the silver medal, representing Central Australia, Tony Ryan. In first place, winner of the gold medal and national champion, Noah Madison. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for our national champion and medalist. That concludes this presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for our national champion and medalist. So ladies and gentlemen, what a day of racing our junior men's 17s have had. What a day of racing our 15 women, 17 women and 15 men have had as well. But these guys are finishing off their Omnium. There's also been a team's pursuit in there and some sprinting for some of these guys. So a big day of competition, day one. This is the final event of the Omnium. There's one more event this evening after this. It'll be the Madison final, the junior women 17s. That's going to be a ripper just like this one. The points to date in this one, Will Holmes, South Australia, number 63 at the top of the track on the start line, leads on 120 points. Alex Eves from Tasmania is in second on 108. Then Alex Hughes from Queensland on 104. Kai Goltman on 100. Neil Van Niekerk on 94. Cadell Lovett on 88. Sam Washington on 82 in 7th. And rounding out the top 8 for now is Lockie Oliver on 72. 30 laps of the track is all that's left for these guys today. There's a sprint every 10 laps. It's 5, 3, 2 and 1 on each of those sprints. So here we go, 30 laps of the track, 29 to go when they come through this time. Who's going to try their luck in the Omnium? The legs, no matter how many times you've warmed up and warmed down today, it was really humid in here. For those watching from home, it's been a very humid day. I don't know if it's possible to drink enough water to hydrate yourself on a day like today, especially with the effort that these kids have been putting in. You warm up, you race, you try and warm down, you drink as much as you can without making yourself sick, and you do it all again. You don't just do it for 4 races today. Some of these guys have done the TP, some of them have done the sprint. Big day of racing here. Now, at international level, especially in the elites, well, we see some riders fall apart in the final race of the Omnium because the lactic acid, you think it's gone, and then all of a sudden you do that first sprint and bang, it's back in the legs and your legs go concrete. Let's see what happens in this one. They're going to come through this time for 26 laps to go. Has to be said though, rider number 63, Will Holmes from South Australia, he has won every race in this series so far today. And he's looked comfortable doing it. The attacks now start. Queensland on the move with New South Wales as they go out of the home straight. Harry Schroff trying to steal a march here, trying to get some points, hoping that the riders at the top of the tree here aren't bothered about him, just wants to try and get some points back, maybe take a lap, just to try to claw his way back nearer to the top. He's been shut down by the New South Wales rider there of Liam Goltman. So both those riders out of the medals for the moment, a little bit further way down the field, but they're still racing. They're going to come around this time with 23 laps to go. It's a good pace. Short race like this, you expect it to be. The Tasmanians, well, what a day they've had. Teams Pursuit National Championship to Tasmania today. That is absolutely huge for Tasmania in the junior ranks to have that sort of quality coming through. Get ready to see the green jersey in the years to come at the National Track Championships. Get ready to see a senior team develop over the next 3 to 4 years. The pace goes up. The bell's going to sound this time for the first sprint in the final points race of the Omnium. They lead through. Alex Eves, second overall. Will Holmes, third over. The leader overall steps out. Will Holmes looking for 5 points here. The points add straight to their aggregate for the day, straight to their tally. Holmes takes 5. They go through. Jonas Shelverton, I think it was, into second. Then we go back to the Queenslander, was it? As they go across the line. Yes, it was Alex Hughes. taking a couple of points there. So he's keeping himself there and thereabouts, Alex Hughes. I don't think Alex Eves got any points. So Hughes will close the gap ever so slightly. He'll pick up a couple of points there and get within 2 points. Well, Alex Eves has actually got himself up into 4th place. So he's only going to pick up 1 point there, Alex Hughes. Good piece of riding. So Will Holmes now leads on 125. Eves, the Tasmanian, on 109. Loses 1 point to Alex Hughes, the Queenslander, who's on 106. Kai Galtman, the next closest to them. Well, he's a couple of points further away now because he's on 100 points. So the 3 men in the medal positions going very nicely indeed, adding to their tally. That's what they want to do. Will Holmes, he's just letting everybody know, I won the first 3, I intend to win this one as well. And if I have to win all 3 sprints just to show you how badly I want it, I'll do it, because he's chasing everything now. As they come into the home straight, Will Holmes shuts down another move. This one was Cadell Lovett. Cadell Lovett sits in 6th place, so he's had a good Omnium series. He's some way off the points at the moment. Off the points and away from the medals at the moment. Not enough points really out there to be able to get into the medals now, but there's certainly enough time to be able to show everyone that you are here as they head down the back straight with pace. Tasmania and Queensland back on the charge again this time. Into the home straight. Queensland not bothered. Says to the Tasmanian, go for your life. Dylan Rogers from Tasmania getting on with the job at hand. Just trying to stretch the pace out here. All lined out as they come up with 13 laps to go now. Pace goes off at the front of the field. Western Australian Sam Washington brings himself to the front of the race. He sits around 7th, 8th position at the moment. Solid day of racing. They come through this time. Will Holmes, have a look at this lad. He's back to the front with 12 to go. The next time round, they're going to hear the bell for the next sprint. Will Holmes leads the way. Sam Washington says, how lucky did I get to be on this wheel at 1 lap before the sprint. Holmes leads through South Australia. Then it's the West Australian up onto his wheel. Then we go back to Alex Eves, who's in the medals as well. They head down the back straight. Kai Galtman getting amongst it this time. Washington trying to get 5 points, trying to get round Will Holmes. Will Holmes says, no, I said I was going to take every sprint here. Is he going to? No. Washington takes the 5. Holmes gets himself up to take the 3. Then it was between Galtman and it was the Tasmanian, Eves, I think it was, who got the next point. So Galtman will have closed the gap ever so slightly to Alex Hughes. But Eves will have extended his lead into 2nd place to get himself just a little bit further away from Alex Hughes. Kai Galtman's put himself in a position mathematically to get himself up into the medals. But he's going to have to win the sprint and have nobody from the top 3 really taking part. The medals for the moment are with Will Holmes, Alex Eves and Alex Hughes. 128 for Holmes. He's 17 points clear of Alex Eves, the Tasmanian. Then Alex Hughes, the Queenslander, on 106 points. 106 points. Kai Galtman on 101. They get on with the job at hand. Riders starting to splinter off the front. New South Wales and Victoria. Will Holmes second in that previous sprint by about half a wheel to Sam Washington. It's the first time today we've seen his colours lowered in Will Holmes. He's down the back of the group now. He knows he's going to be national champion in 6 laps' time. It's whether he wants to take part in the final sprint and get amongst it. You wouldn't blame him if he didn't want to. Will Holmes 128, Alex Eves 111, and then we go back to Alex Hughes on 106. The pace just washing off a little bit here. New South Wales coming to the front. Jacob Steep down in 14th place. No need to chase him, but they do. And it's Alex Eves just making sure. He's got no reason to chase. He's comfortably in 2nd place. They're not worried about the points going up the track. James Matthews, the Queenslander, going out after steep now as they head down the back straight. We have a look back through the field. We have a look back through the field to see who's moving forward. This is a tough piece of riding by the Tasmanian. He is making sure that he keeps himself right to the front of the race. Maybe he's not happy with the distance between him and Will Holmes. Maybe he wants to just make it a little bit shorter so that when the printout comes on the way home, he's not 17 points down. Maybe he only wants to be 12 points down. Wants to win that final sprint. A nice way to finish off the night. 3 to go as they went through. Washington, the West Australian, gets himself back up into position. The South Australians are coming around the top. The Tassie boys are starting to move as well. This last 2 laps is going to be very fast indeed, because the leader of the competition, Will Holmes, goes around the outside and he is going away from them. Get behind this young man. This has been a performance here from the under-17 rider, Will Holmes. He's got about 3 bike lengths. Has he got the legs left? It just doesn't matter, does it? Will Holmes goes into 200 to go. Down the back straight, Queensland attacking up round the outside. Alex Hughes moves forward. Sam Washington moves around again. He's going to take 2 sprints in this final points race. Something to look forward to. Washington, Hughes. Then we have the winner, Will Holmes, and then I think we went back to Cadell Lovett in 4th place on that final sprint. But ladies and gentlemen, leading into the home straight now, put your hands together for Will Holmes from South Australia. So if you're joining us on our live feed, we do have one more race to go here. We have the Junior Women's 17 Madison still to come. So I know one or two people are just asking questions about has the session finished. No, it hasn't. We do have one more race to go. Don't have that many teams in this one. Junior Women 17 field, very sparse to say the least. But a national title on the lines here. So that racing will be underway very shortly. Hope you can stick with us. We'll still have the presentations after this for the Junior Men's Omnium and the JW17 Madison. So ladies and gentlemen, we get underway for the final race of our day's program. This is our Junior Women 17s. This is the Madison. We've got a Queensland team. We've got the New South Wales A team. We've also got the South Australian team in this as well. As you'll see, the riders coming into the home straight for the first change. And the team in the green jerseys, in the traditional Madison jersey with a big number on the back, they're actually team number 3. That's the New South Wales B team that's being called for this event. As you can see, not a lot of teams in the Junior Women's 17 field. Big week of racing ahead for a number of riders. It's been a big day. It's a little bit unfortunate to miss out on a number of teams. 60 laps of the track for these 4 teams here. And one thing that's impressed me so much, I've been very lucky, well, pre-COVID, 2 years of not going anywhere out of Western Australia, but before that, I was extremely lucky to be able to spend 3 Christmases in a row in Sydney, thanks to a good mate of mine, Paul Craft, who used to run the Sydney Christmas Carnivals. And one thing that Paul Craft used to put on in his bike racing was a Madison at the end of the night for A grade and B grade and the women. And they were run-off brilliant races, they really were. They even had mixed Madisons at these Christmas Carnivals. So it does not surprise me at all that New South Wales are able to put out 2 teams, because the work that the likes of Paul Craft and David Brown did over the years also, he's one of his offsiders, making sure these Madisons got run in New South Wales. Also seeing the same sort of thing happening in Queensland and obviously South Australia. Got a number of teams here, of course. We've only got 1 rider from each state. Numbers building in each state, but not everybody travelling to a national championship. But I must say, the quality that we have seen today, we've had some very positive comments. And of course, the biggest positive comment that we seem to be seeing through our feed today is the fact that this is only a junior championship we're watching. The racing that we have seen today is equal to that of any elite championship you're likely to see in the competition, in the sprints and the points races, the scratch races. So absolutely fantastic. Once again, a big thank you to the local Queensland crew who have been doing the live feed here all day long. It's been a pleasure to be a part of your live feed. You can go all around the world. I'll guarantee you, you'll still have fingers left if you try and count how many countries televise under 15 and under 17 national championships to the entire world, because this is going out on YouTube, on the AusCycling YouTube channel. We see it with the elites. We don't see it with the juniors. South Australia come to the front now, looking for points in the first one. They changed at the right time. Queensland changing in the last lap. They're into the mix now. South Australia lead the way, looking for the first 5 points. Big run to the line. New South Wales have a low. New South Wales in the last 10 metres, getting the 5 points. Unofficially, for my money, they got the 5 points. And Queensland, no messing about. Everyone sprinted. Well, we're gonna hit you. And off they go. Carnes it is, leading down the back straight. Good piece of riding here from Queensland. New South Wales see the danger and they chase out. When you first looked at it, you saw 4 teams. You thought, oh, it would be good if there was 8, maybe 12. But look at the racing here between these riders. 3 teams neck and neck fighting out for a national championship. And why wouldn't you? Queensland and New South Wales B in the green. New South Wales A in the blue. New South Wales A lead on 5 points. South Australia on 3. New South Wales B on 2. Queensland on 1 point. South Australia, though, they've been ridden off the wheels after the effort they put in for that first sprint and the attack of the Queenslanders. They've got some work to do to get themselves back on. Beautiful change there from the Queensland team. Your rider coming in, no fear whatsoever, dove all the way down the track to within an inch of the rider who was going underneath her. The beautiful thing about that is what a good Madison team does. As you're going to be the rider who's throwing the rider in, you want your rider, your partner, to come all the way to your handlebars, and you don't want to have to turn up the track to go and greet them, because if you turn up the track to go and greet them, you're riding up a hill. It just starts getting into your legs. You want your partner to have a look at the bunch. We watched the change this time. New South Wales, a lovely change. Queensland, the same. Their lead riders didn't have to move at all. The New South Wales A team got a bit of chasing to do this time, because Queensland, well, they keep turning the screw, don't they? 43 laps to go. South Australia just getting caught in a little bit of traffic there. Pace going nicely. I get the feeling the Queensland team are going to keep this attack style racing going for the rest of the night. However, 42 laps to go when they went through that time. Next time round will be bell lap. You can attack all night long, but you have to keep an eye on what the lap scoreboard is doing. They come into the home straight this time. The bell will sound. New South Wales B change first. Queensland haven't changed yet. New South Wales B take the advantage. No change from the Queensland team. That's going to get into the legs now. 41 laps to go. You've got to change with your rider. No matter how bad you feel, you've got to change, because if they have to stay in for a few extra laps, they're going to be on their knees real quick. The lactic acid is going to come. New South Wales B team take the 5 points. Then Queensland swing up. I bet they swing up straight away. They'll be looking for their partner. South Australia are about half a lap down now. They pick up a point. They've got a lot of work to do to get back in this bike race. The 2 New South Wales teams and the Queensland team all breathing very heavily. New South Wales A and B on 7 points. South Australia and Queensland on 4 points. Queensland trying to catch their breath, trying to get the change done this time. You see, the teams are spread out a little bit. In this situation, you've really got to stay with the team that you're racing against. You've got to change at the same time. That way you can have fresh legs on the attack when it goes. No harm done that time. The riders really need to stay together when they're rolling around the banking. You can see that they're starting to spread out. And what will end up happening is if two teams suddenly change at the same time and attack the third rider will be looking around the track for their partner. Then they've got to ride to where their partner is, then hope they get there in good shape and then throw them in. Even with just a small amount of teams like this, you still have to be attentive. You've got to be near the other team. You can see down the back straight, all the teams are spread out. The first team to change this time will be the New South Wales B team. They lead the bike race with New South Wales A. But Madison riding, I tell you what, for anyone who's experienced a Madison race, your head is literally spinning on the top of your shoulders very early on. And look at this, New South Wales B taking full advantage of a late change from New South Wales A. Look over the shoulder, new fresh legs, sit up straight away. They're not trying to hurt the rider coming in, they're trying to put the rider who was still in there under the pump. Good piece of riding by the team in green. Into the back straight this time. It hurts out there for these riders. South Australia, have a look at the ride they're doing. They haven't gone down the lap. They're just fighting on, trying to get themselves back across here. It's hard work to do so. The three riders lead through. 33 laps to go for the leaders. Just a couple of laps away from the next sprint. Doesn't seem to be much between these riders. The Queensland team, well, they were doing a lot of attacking. A little bit rude there from the New South Wales team, not going up round the outside of the chase, forcing the Queensland team to do a late change, and then they didn't get the proper hand sling anyway. That pays a big difference as well, because Queensland were looking to try and possibly do the attack and put this race under some pressure. New South Wales A team going to change at the bell with fresh legs. The hand sling in, they're a little bit way off the wheel. They're going to have to use all that hand sling just to get back up onto speed, but they're using it nicely as they get in the back straight. New South Wales A up round the outside and looking for the lead of the bike race on points. 5 points coming the way of New South Wales as they go through. Queensland will pick up 3. That's going to help the scoreboard, and New South Wales B will take 2. So they'll go to 9, but New South Wales A, they're going to get themselves up onto 12 points now. They're starting just to extend that lead, put the pressure on New South Wales B, but New South Wales B retaliate very quickly. Once again, they're going to attack the rider who's left in a little bit longer. Down the back straight, stretching the legs of New South Wales A. Good tactic. I'm liking this from the New South Wales B team. They think they've found a chink in the armour and they're going to try and exploit it. Meanwhile, New South Wales A lead the bike race. Let's not forget that. As much pressure as they may be being put under, they lead the bike race and they extended their lead on that last sprint. Into the back straight this time, New South Wales. They've been very keen to attack every time they change here. What are they going to do this time? I wonder if they've had a look around the track to see where New South Wales A is. No, this time we're just going to catch our breath. Queensland, a better change from them this time. Everyone quite happy to relax onto the wheels this time. South Australia still have not lost the lap. They lost contact with the bunch, but they're still going. They're holding the field off, which is what they want to do. Anything can still happen in this race. Riders get tired very quickly. New South Wales, Queensland rider there in a second wheel. A little bit of inattention, starting to run into the box rather than up on the outside of the wheel. You watch when they do the change. If there's a team changing in front of you, if you're the second rider, you need to go up high and put your wheel up around the outside of the rider about to be thrown in. That way, you've got room to move if something goes wrong. If you stay underneath the wheel or you stay on the wheel of the rider you're following and they throw their rider in, well, guess what? On a track bike without brakes, that bike stops very quickly. We see the change this time. Expect to see the blue jersey move up round the outside of the green jersey. Perfectly done. That's what you want to see. Green jersey does the same to the Queensland rider. Into the back straight. They're going to come round this time. 22 laps to go. So which teams have got it right this time? Which teams have thrown the sprinter in at the right time? New South Wales B leads into the back straight, swings up high. Don't want to lead this one out. They are going to be sprinting for it, or are they? Because they're going to find their teammate during the sprint lap, as are Queensland. So this is going to be interesting. Queensland lead the way for this sprint. Their partner around the other side of the track in a perfect position for the end of this sprint. Queensland could be setting up something here very nicely. Queensland lead. The change in the home straight possibly coming from the green team. Yes, they will change as well. That takes some skill straight up round the outside to try and nullify a potential attack that may come now from the Queensland team. Up onto the wheel, fresh legs in for Queensland, and off they go. What's the plan? They get on with it, start to lift the pace. Didn't have the desired effect, but they're hurting each other here. New South Wales A, they're adrift as Queensland turn the screw down the back straight, but New South Wales A cruise up to the back of the group. New South Wales A lead the bike race on 14 points. New South Wales B on 12, with Queensland also on 12. This is still anyone's bike race. New South Wales A just being a little bit more clever in the sprints up till now. Unfortunately, our South Australian team has finally had to succumb and lose their lap. They'll come through this time. 17 laps to go. And New South Wales B, so we're not going to leave it to a sprint. We've got to get on with the job. We've got to find out if we can win this bike race. Queensland, the legs are starting to hurt. They start to lose the wheel. Fresh legs for Queensland and a hard chase, a good chase here from Queensland. New South Wales A team, they throw their rider in. They can see the damage being done, but they're not going to panic at all. Trying to save as much gunpowder as they can as they head down the back straight. They've got two very rapid sprints to come. They lead by 2 points. It's a nice position to be in. Queensland lead through this time. 15 laps to go. New South Wales B now on the front in the green jerseys. They head down the back straight. This is all we've got left in our Madison Championship. South Australia go through. They're amongst the points early on, but a very, very big attack from the Queensland team early on paved to their opportunity to move forward. See the New South Wales B rider who's in the field at the moment. Just had a very good look over her shoulder to pinpoint exactly how fast her teammate was rolling, deciding how quickly she really needed to set the pace here. New South Wales, the A team, leading the bike race on 14 points. They throw their rider in now. It's going to become very tactical between these three teams. Timing is going to be of most importance coming into these sprints. If the rider who's in what we call the field can time it right, get out in front, and then the teammate can be propped up on the banking at the right time going into the sprint, it can change how everything happens. And this is what I'm talking about. Eliza Carnes from Queensland leads down the back straight, but a teammate doesn't look too interested as the sprint goes, and she doesn't. They needed a change there, but saying to do it and actually doing it, two very different things, because it's a scary sight when they're sprinting down the back straight. Queensland will take the 5 points and go to 17. New South Wales B will get 3 and go to 15. 2 points will go to New South Wales A, and they'll go on to 16. So Queensland find themselves in the lead of the bike race before they move on to the final sprint of the evening. We'll wait for the official one, of course, but my arithmetic's not too bad. We'll see what it says. 17 for Queensland. New South Wales A on 16. New South Wales B on 15. 2 points separate the top three teams. Who'd have thought this? It was going to be that close. You might have thought one team was just going to clean up here and keep taking sprints. It hasn't been that way at all. This has been a very even bike race. Queensland started off doing all the attacking at the start of this 60 laps. Then they looked like they were out. They looked like they were out for the count. But they have fought back here. New South Wales A have not put a foot wrong until that last sprint then when they ran third. Who's got the legs? 7 laps to go. Any one of these three teams are going to go home national champion here tonight. New South Wales B, they've got to win the final sprint. There's no two ways about it. New South Wales A, it's going to come down to who wins. It really is. It's that close. New South Wales A lead through. They're doing a good ride. New South Wales B swings up. South Australia back in the bunch. And they're allowed to be. They've lost their lap. They're allowed to get back in the bunch, so they count for points now they're back in the field. They count for points in this final sprint. I wonder if the rest of the field knows that. They probably do if they're listening to me. Down the back straight, South Australia lead the way. The attack up round the outside. New South Wales B. They're not going to die wondering here tonight. The attack goes. They're trying to put the other New South Wales rider on the ropes here. But Queensland are chasing because now Queensland are leading the bike race. New South Wales A are having to do extra work this time to get themselves into the mix. We have a look around the track to see where the partners are. Queensland are going to make a change, but they're going to make a change with 2.5 laps to go. It's not an ideal spot, but it's not going to hurt them too badly because New South Wales B are about to do a change at 2 to go. So it doesn't look like too many are going to have fresh legs. Or are they? As we start to look around the track and see where teammates are and see how much they're slowing down to get themselves back in the bike race, because New South Wales A are coming up to the line this time. 1 lap to go. Queensland lead and New South Wales A are the only team who's going to be able to change. Got to be going quicker than that. The change is ignored. That'll be a yellow flag for New South Wales as they head down the back straight. New South Wales A straight round the outside looking for the 5 points here. They're going to go on to 21 points. New South Wales A take the 5 points in the bike race. Queensland in second take 3 to go on to 20. New South Wales B will finish third in the sprint and go to 17. But put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for sticking around with us to watch the Junior Women's 17 Madison final here for 2022. The numbers are going to build, but New South Wales A don't care. They are national champions for 2022. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us for the U17 Omnium presentation. Presentations will once again be held by Tony Tour, our Chief Officer. In third place, winner of the bronze medal, representing Queensland, Alex Hughes. In second place, winner of the silver medal, representing Tasmania, Alex Dees. And in first place, winner of the gold medal and national champion, representing South Australia, Velodrome. Ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation for our national champion and medalist. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us for the Junior Women's 17 Madison presentation. In third place, and winners of the bronze medal, New South Wales B, Anna Dubier and Isabel Morrison. In second place, and winners of the silver medal, representing Queensland, Eliza Barnes and Georgia Wilson. In first